history. I will change 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 history. That will be the most beautiful day.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for stopping by this evening for our Ukraine War Report for the 15th of June, 2022. Well, I hope everybody is having a wonderful Wednesday evening. For some of you, you're probably tuning in from Thursday morning, for those of you in Europe and elsewhere. Again, thank you to everybody that stopped by tonight to take some time out of your day to, once again, get filled in on what's going on this ongoing conflict in Ukraine. We're now on day 112. 112 days this war has been going on. Big hearty hello to everybody that stopped by tonight. I see some familiar faces in the chat as well as some new folks as well. If you guys haven't already, please hit that like button. Best way to get the algorithm's attention there. Best way to get this information into the hands of more viewers. We're going to start this evening with our primary headlines. Before we get into that, though, we're going to do our gas prices roundup, as we've been calling it the past few weeks here, since this war, past few months, I should say, since the war began. We've been occasionally doing what we call our gas price roundup, which is where we ask everybody at home where they're tuning in from and what the fuel prices are looking like in your area. I would really like to hear from some people outside of the U.S., but as you guys report in on your fuel prices there in the live chat here, on our last report that we did our gas price roundup, the last time we did our gas price roundup was 5 days ago, and it was June 10th. 2022, and you can see here on, again, this is gasprices.aaa.com if you want to take a look at this resource here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to refresh the page, and we're going to see how much it's gone up in just 5 days. It is now at $5. $5 is the national, $5 and about a cent there. I would say $5.02 is about our national average there, I would say. Again, the West Coast hit pretty bad. Alaska hit pretty bad. Illinois, Michigan, those are the ones that are seeing the worst fuel prices at this time. California is especially bad. In a lot of places, you're seeing almost upwards of $7 fuel prices. Pocket Frog, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you liked our little test launch short. We got another one coming your way. I believe tonight I'll have that uploaded later this evening after the stream. It says $5 in PAs at Philadelphia, I believe. Yep. $5 fuel prices out there. That is not too good. It's about $5.19 where I'm at right now, I think. Throw111 says just filled $4.99 in Arizona, so right about at the $5 mark. Michelle Welch says Missouri $4.79 and 90 degrees F there. That sounds pretty toasty. Mythical, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. Says $4.59 in Georgia. Kendra says, I'm not worried about the fuel. It's hot, hot, hot here in Florida. I bet it is stifling down there in Florida this time of year, especially with this heat wave we have going through the continental United States. Itchy the Killer says, gas went down again slightly, $5.87 a gallon. Oof, that is still almost $6 a gallon. Speaking of $6, Greenville Hauser says, Philippines, around $6 per gallon, where they're at in Philippines. Miss Tiger Eye 912 says, highest is $4.69 in Louisiana. High temp today was 95 degrees. That sounds pretty toasty. Miss Chris 620 says $5 where she's at. I believe that's Massachusetts. Costco, Mother Saki says $5.39. Retail $5.99 in Phoenix. I'd kill for $5 gallon prices. Utkin, thank you so much for stopping by, says $5.59 in Lompoc, California. Wow, those fuel prices, I think, have definitely gone up. I mean, just from hearing from you guys and what we're seeing here, over the past 5 days, we've seen a sharp increase in those prices. It's continuing to go up. We're going to see how far that goes. We're going to keep an eye on those fuel prices in the coming weeks. Without further ado, again, thank you to everybody that sounded off there in the chat with your fuel prices. We're going to start on our main headlines now without further ado. The main story which we've been covering over the past few weeks now, I would say over the past month or more, is this battle in Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, okay? So this battle that's happening in the east, in the Donbass there, which is arguably deciding the outcome of this war at this very hour. Had a few updates on that today, and we'll get to those. First off, though, the Biden administration has committed an additional $1 billion US dollar bills in security assistance to Ukraine. Again, though the aid falls short of Ukrainian leaders' recent demands as they warn their fighters remain outgunned by Russian forces, the new U.S. military package is expected to include more howitzers and artillery rounds, as well as 2 ground-based Harpoon anti-ship missile launchers. Joint Chiefs Chairman General Mark Milley also said some 60 Ukrainian troops have completed training on long-range rocket systems, which will be on the battlefield in, quote, a few weeks. Turning back to Severodonetsk, there, planned evacuations of civilians from that besieged city of Severodonetsk appear to have been disrupted by Russian forces today. Again, this comes from multiple sources, multiple observers that are on the ground there in and around Severodonetsk. Russia continues to make slow gains around the city. Russia has said it would open a humanitarian corridor from the city on Wednesday. Hundreds of civilians and Ukrainian soldiers are believed to be sheltering in a chemical plant. There's that industrial zone that I was talking about recently, very similar to what we saw occur in Mariupol. Russian-backed separatists in the region blamed Ukrainian fighters for disrupting evacuations, a claim that the local reporters on the ground have not been able to independently verify. Again, Severodonetsk is the last major city in eastern Luhansk region still partially under Ukrainian control. So it does look like there is sporadic reports that those evacuations, that those humanitarian corridors have been disrupted over the course of about the past 24 hours by those Russian forces. However, we haven't been able to, again, independently verify which side, started what. Again, this is an ongoing battle that's happening in the city, so there is constantly rounds being exchanged on both sides. There's constantly shelling occurring. There's constantly exchange of missiles and everything else. So again, it's a very volatile situation on the ground there. It's very hard to get concrete information on what is going on. It's just like what we saw in Mariupol. This is extremely similar. You got the majority of the Ukrainian forces pushed back into this industrial zone, very similar to what we saw at the Avastal. Again, we're going to have to keep an eye on this and see how it plays out in the coming days. 6 million acres of winter crops will not be harvested this year, including wheat and barley planted in the fall. Ukrainian's agriculture ministry said the government said the unharvested food could be worth as much as $1.4 billion. Ukraine has more than 23 million tons of grain in the country stuck in storage because Russian warships in the Black Sea are blocking exports. We've talked a lot about this on the show recently. 12% of your daily caloric intake is currently stuck in those ports. Okay, if you go to your local grocery store and you see increased prices, the reason those prices are increased right now at this very moment are because 12% of your calories, of your daily caloric intake that comes from Ukraine, which is arguably the breadbasket of Europe, the breadbasket of the world, arguably, is stuck in those ports. And so that's being reflected in our food prices. Again, farmers are expected to begin the wheat and barley harvest in the coming weeks, but without extra storage, Many fear the food will go to rot. Again, we've also seen reports of these grain shipments being stolen in some cases and shipped back into Russian territory. There's been cases of some of this grain being robbed by just people on the ground that need food or that are looking to sell the stuff. It's a very volatile situation going on with this food that's locked in these ports. Not just that, but it trickles right back up to the farmers that are trying to do their jobs in Ukraine. They have nowhere to send this grain. It's all sitting on their farms. It's not being sent to like the normal storage facilities, the normal storage infrastructure that it would be sent to. It's all sitting in country and it's not being exported. So that's the main problem there that is trying to be resolved. Again, in a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, China's leader, Xi Jinping reiterated his country's support for Russia. China is willing to continue mutual support with Russia on issues related to sovereignty, security, and the issue of quote, major concern. Xi said, again, according to China's state broadcaster, China has refrained from condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This was the second call between the president and Putin, president of China and Putin, since about February when the invasion began, when the two countries agreed to a strategic partnership. The State Department says it's aware of unconfirmed reports that Russian forces have captured 2 U.S. citizens fighting in Ukraine, and it is in touch with the Ukrainian authorities about those reports. So they're looking into it. It's being actively investigated at this hour. At the White House, National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said, quote, "We discourage Americans from going to Ukraine and fighting in the war." In a report earlier today, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said the outcome of the battle for the Donbass region will determine the course of the war, adding that Ukraine's forces are suffering, quote, painful losses in Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. The battle for Luhansk-Severodonetsk is now the biggest fight in Ukraine, and its defenders try to repel a fierce Russian onslaught in those twin eastern cities. Zelensky also repeated his call for the West to step up the provision of heavy weapons to Ukraine. Again, that comes as the U.S. did pass through that $1 billion package that we spoke about a few moments ago. However, it is not enough. They do need more munitions. They need more weapon systems, etc. Again, thank you for everybody that is joining us now for our reports. We just got done going through our primary headlines there this evening. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. Best way to get the algorithm's attention, get this information into more hands. We're now going to switch over into our community aggregated reporting from our Situation Room over on the Discord server. We had a lot of posts this evening, so we're going to get you guys filled in on all of those community aggregated reports that we have for you today. The first post here I had lined up for this evening. Again, this comes from Rot Lady on the Discord, longtime contributor. We're going to switch over to our main screen as well, so we can see this a little better here. All right, that'll do. So our first post here, again, posted by Rat Lady in the Discord, posted by Alex Derebikov, an unverified Twitter source, says, today, Askionov, the Kremlin puppet of Crimea, boasted that they supply grain from southern occupied regions of Ukraine. Askionov is a criminal. They simply steal our grain, calling it supply. Russia is the country of robbers and liars. So again, this is a little bit of information, a little bit of, again, coming from an unverified Twitter source, so keep that in mind, but this kind of corroborates what I was just talking about a minute ago about that situation with the Ukrainian grain supplies. Again, thank you, Red Lady, for posting that in the Discord server. Our next post here comes from Kayuka, longtime contributor. This comes from War Monitor Ukraine on Twitter, another unverified source, so keep that in mind. Talks about Zaporizhia region. There is some positive developments in some areas. Front line was moved south several kilometers. Ukrainian forces are quite close to certain key occupied towns. I know the Ukrainians have been launching quite a few successful counter-offensives in that region of Zaporizhia over the recent days and weeks. Our next post here comes from Lords of Acid on the Situation Room. Thank you so much for posting this, Lords. This is actually a post from our good old friend Mehmet in Ukraine there. You might know him as Yoru, again, a longtime member of the Discord here. We've had him on the show quite a few times. This is actually from General Dmitry Marichenko, saying the Kirchbridge is goal number 1. I don't have all of the context here to give you from this press release. However, I'm sure Mehmet could give you guys some details there. He's still streaming on Twitch occasionally. If you guys want to go check him out, you can follow him on Twitter at Yorukun, and you can check him out on his Twitch channel as well. I'm not sure if he's on YouTube again yet, but he is on Twitch. Our next post here, again, comes from Kayuka. This came from earlier today. This is from Uri Kikaski, again, an unverified Twitter source here. Unconfirmed social media sources claim there has been a large explosion in the city of Simferopol in Russian-occupied Crimea. The only weapon currently capable of a hit like this would be from an aircraft. So interesting. Report of an explosion there. Some interesting wording used there, but we'll keep an eye out for any information on that report. Pyrotech comes at us with our next post, coming from Euromaiden Press on Twitter. It says, Prime Ministers of Montenegro and Albania visit Kiev Oblast. Montenegro's Ditran Abazovic and Albania's Edi Rama visit Irpin and Borodianka on June 15th, both reiterating during their visits they stand firmly with Ukraine. You can see them there, the press, inspecting some of those damaged buildings outside of Kiev. Our next post here comes from Charlie Wong on the Situation Room. This is a post from The Guardian. It talks about Alexei Navalny reportedly moved to high-security prison in Russia. The imprisoned Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny has been transferred to a maximum security prison, according to the chairman of Prison Monitoring Commission. On Tuesday, Navalny was moved to the IK-6 in the village of Melikovo in the Vladimir region. Russian news agencies reported, citing Sergei Yazan, chairman of the Regional Public Monitoring Commission. So that prominent opposition leader there has been moved to a higher security facility within Russia. That is definitely some interesting news. I have one more community aggregated post. I know we don't have time to, as much as I'd like to go through all of them. We sometimes have to just go through and pick the ones that are most credible. Especially when we're trying to get this show down to about an hour or so in length. But this next post, I think, is significant. Okay, this is posted by Pyrotech. Again, thank you so much, Pyrotech, for posting this in the Situation Room. This comes from ctvnews.ca. I believe that's a Canadian news agency. This talks about Russia lowering their gas flows to Europe with part stuck in Canada. I'm going to go ahead. We're not going to watch the video, but I will read you some of this article here. It talks about Russian natural gas deliveries through a key pipeline to Europe will drop by around 40% this year. State-controlled energy giant Gazprom said Tuesday after Canadian sanctions over the war in Ukraine prevented German partner Siemens Energy from delivering overhauled equipment. Germany's utility network agency said it did not see gas supplies as endangered and that the reduced flows through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline under the Baltic Sea aligned with commercial behavior and Russia's previously announced cutoff of gas to Denmark and the Netherlands, the German news agency DPA reported. The Federal Network Agency said it was monitoring the situation. Spot gas prices rose in Europe, a sign of jitters over possible further effects of the war on supplies of Russian gas, which powers industry and generates electricity on the continent. If you'd like to read that entire article, you can find it in our Situation Room, along with all the other ones that we just mentioned, and many more. Again, probably one of the best resources for up-to-date community, so that means people aggregated, okay? So it's the community, it's you guys that aggregates these reports. If you want a good, up-to-date source for community aggregated information on what's going on in Ukraine, Situation Room over there on the Discord server is probably one of the best resources available to us. All right, people that power that operation, it's you guys that put in the manpower and bring that information together for everybody. You can join the Discord server. That's discord.gg/Nemico. Everybody's welcome to join. Please make sure to visit the welcome channel, read the server rules, and also, if you would like to contribute to these nightly reports when we go into our community aggregated reports, you can pick up your Intel analyst rank in the welcome channel and help contribute to that reporting. We're now going to be switching over to our open source reporting over here on Live UA Map. We're going to go through about the past 12 hours of events that have occurred in Ukraine. We're going to start here at the 13-hour mark. 13 hours ago, 5 people were unfortunately wounded as a result of Russian shelling in Mykolaiv. Again, been working on the pronunciation of that town there. Again, you can see some footage here of, I believe this is in an apartment building here, or a house, where some of those shells have come through the roof. 8 hours ago, Russian army shelled Zelenodolsk. Again, that's a mouthful there. You can see on the map where that is located. The Ukrainians have been mounting quite a few successful counteroffensives in this region, though, as you can see reflected here in this shading, this bluish shading on the map. You can see here. This is where the Ukrainians have taken back territory. Again, as you can see there, marked territories liberated from Russian forces. 7 hours ago, missiles strike in Pokrovsk in the Donetsk region. You can see there on the map. 7 hours ago, explosions near Novomokhovsk, not too far from Dnipro. 7 hours ago, the U.S. is providing another $1 billion, as we reported on earlier, in security assistance for Ukraine, including additional artillery and coastal defense weapons. Again, talking about those Harpoon missile systems. Ammunition for the artillery and advanced rocket systems that the Ukrainians need to support their defensive operations in the Donbass. 7 hours ago, Secretary Antony Blinken spoke today with Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba to discuss continued support for Ukraine from the United States and our allies and partners. Together, we will help the people of Ukraine defend and rebuild their territory. About 7 hours ago here, President Biden called President Zelensky this morning to discuss the United States' ongoing support for Ukraine as it defends itself against Russian aggression. They spoke from about 10:54 till about 11:35 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Seven hours ago here, Russian army attempted to conduct an assault actions, as they say here, at the Dovhenki, and the Kranosopila direction, and near the Dolny village. General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine in their evening report there on screen. You can see where that is located, not too far from Izium. 7 hours ago here, battles continue in Severodonetsk. Russian army attempted to assault Toshkivka. Again, that came also in that evening report. You can see where those are located there on the screen. Battles continue in Severodonetsk. Russian army attempted to assault Toshkivka. So you can see here, here's Severodonetsk, okay, and here is Toshkivka. Lysychansk is right here, in kind of in the middle. At the Bakhmut direction, Russian army suffered losses during attacks at Vasilivka, Yakolovivka, and Vasilivka-Berestovi directions. Again, also coming in the evening report, you can see there on screen where those are located. 6 hours ago, General Miley confirms public estimates of 100 to 200 daily Ukrainian military casualties are in the ballpark of our actual assessments. Declines to offer more specifics for security reasons. They stress the casualty estimates in war are always extremely difficult, as I've talked about many times on the show. 5 hours ago, grim analysis from Miley on if Ukraine's casualties are sustainable. He says this is an existential threat. They're fighting for the very life of their country. So their ability to endure suffering, to endure casualties, is directly proportional to the object to be attained, meaning their freedom. 5 hours ago, President Zelensky in constant contact with Boris Johnson, coordinated positions on the eve of important international events, discussed the situation on the battlefield, Ukraine's defense needs, and threats to food security. Again, referring to that grain that's locked in those ports there that we've talked about many times on the show. 5 hours ago, 2 Russian helicopters launched 5 missiles at Kiev outskirts. 1 person was unfortunately killed and 6 were wounded. And you can see where that was located here, not too far from Sumy, in territory where the Ukrainians have taken back land. Again, 2 Russian helicopters launched 5 missiles at a position on those outskirts. 1 person was killed, 6 wounded. 4 hours ago here, President Zelensky gratefully accepted the invitation of partners to take part in key international events from German Federal Chancellor in the G7 GER summit, from NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg in the NATO summit in Madrid. 4 hours ago, Germany's Heda Journal is reporting that German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is on his way to Kiev for a meeting. 3 hours ago, the United States and Europe have warned China against providing Russian military assistance or systematic assistance with sanction evasion. Quote, we are monitoring China's activity closely, again, says the State Department spokesperson that made that report. 3 hours ago, French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived at the border between Poland and Ukraine. So we not just have the German Chancellor there, but we also have the French President as well in region. 2 hours ago, explosions audible in Sumy. You can see located on the map there. And that about finishes up our live UA map reports. I'll go ahead and refresh just to make sure we haven't got any of our late night alarms. Oh, and we did. We got all of our late night alarms here, guys, for me to read off for you. We got Cherkasska Oblast, red alert, aerial threat, sirens sounding now. That was 2 hours ago. 3 hours ago, Poltavska Oblast, red alert. 3 hours ago, Samarska Oblast, red alert. Chernivska Oblast, red alert 3 hours ago. And that looks like about all of them, but still quite a few regions. And you can see here with the blue circles here on the map, that is everywhere that air raids have been alerted in about the past 4 hours. Okay, so there is again, still a high amount of bombardment happening here across the country, especially in the east, but even in central and western Ukraine, there are still attacks occurring on a daily basis. We're now going to switch over to a little bit of a Q&A with everybody in the live chat. I'll read some questions and comments just to finish up tonight's stream. Miss Tiger I912 says, I might have a friend that's going to subscribe. That's awesome. That is great. Again, you know why that's so great is because they're taking some time, again, to get filled in on what's going on. And I say this a lot, so I might sound like a broken record, but that's half of the battle here. Okay, is getting informed on what's going on in Ukraine, all right, because that's the first step on your path to helping in some way, Okay, you got to get informed on what's going on, and then you can do things like talk to your politicians. You can push for more aid to be sent to Ukraine to help these people that need it desperately at this hour. Things like munitions, weapon systems, not just weapons, but defensive things like body armor, pads, medical supplies, food, all sorts of things that are needed. Again, as there's not just this ongoing war, but an ongoing humanitarian crisis in the country of Ukraine. There's people that don't have medical, people that don't have food, water, communications. That's another big one. So there's a lot of ways to help, but again, uh, big the big part of the battle is just getting informed on what's going on. Tango Down, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Glad to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Mythical, Miss Fishy Fishiator, always good to see you guys as well. Michelle Welch, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. Mother Saki, again, correcting my Mikolaev. Again, I'm working on that one. We'll get that one down pat, don't worry. Mikolaev. I'm pretty sure is the proper way to say that one. Pocket Frog asks, do you have an updated list of KIA tanks and boats? Yes, we have a update. There's actually an online resource, which again has those numbers. That's actually corroborated with picture evidence and geolocation evidence. However, and I'll show that, I can probably bring that up on our next report, but really quickly, since we're crunching for time here, I could show you the numbers from the Kiev Independent like we do occasionally, and I'll get those up on screen here for you right now. I'm looking for the Kiev Independent. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go to here. Get out of there. Go down here. Where are they? Here we go. So I can get you updated numbers June 15th. This is from the Ukrainians. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is coming directly from the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Again, as of 10 a.m. On June 15th. Okay, so you got approximately 32,750 killed in action Russian troops, 1,440 tanks, 3,528 armored personnel vehicles, 722 artillery systems, 230 MLRS artillery systems. Those are those missile multiple launch rocket systems. 97 anti-aircraft warfare systems, 213 planes, 179 helicopters, 13 boats, 591 UAV drones, 55 pieces of special equipment, 2,485 vehicles and fuel tanks, 129 plus 4 cruise missiles. Those are updated numbers there on screen. You can see these at the Kiev Independent on Twitter. Let's hop back over into our newsroom here quick. Just Me says, hey, Nemico. He says, I had a question before you disappear regarding the page, so please tag me after this. I will. No problem, Just Me. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Who Dat Dude says, USA won't have nothing left to send soon. Damn. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily true, especially because production has been ramped up so high here in the States when it comes to the manufacturing of these weapon systems and the munitions. I think, again, it'll get to a point where the U.S. will put they'll say, hey, we can't, afford to send any more aid. Okay, when it gets to a point where they're digging into their own stockpiles, everything they've sent so far, I'm pretty sure, is stuff that's like on top of the stockpiles they would need for any type of military confrontation. Itchy the Killer says, what happened to the giant Z in the video feed? There's actually a funny story behind that. So a few weeks back, we did a music stream one day where we had the we had the stream set up on that Zcam, and we had like a whole bunch of little characters on the screen, and they were dancing on the Z, and we had the Z like on fire and stuff. We were playing music and all that, all fun. Anyway, it was like literally the next day or the day after. Some citizens that were in that town there, they came and they took down the Z sign finally. So I kind of feel like we had a little bit to do with that, but I know we didn't. But yeah, I feel spiritually we did. Like we helped make that happen. Mother Saki says, I left a message for my senator. After hearing the message she had, her aide called me back personally. We spoke for about 20 minutes about Ukraine. See, now that is how you can help. That's one of the best ways you can help, is you can call your politicians, you can call your senators, you can tell them that Ukraine needs help. Tony Wilson says, I know these are Ukrainian figures, but I'll bet the troop losses are even higher just based on the way that Russia is using DNR forces. Yes, and I've talked about this many times, that uh, you got to think about all of the bodies that are still, missing, laying on a battlefield. All right, there are still there are bodies that are unrecoverable in some cases. Okay, there are people that go missing. There's people that flee and desert. So those numbers are going to take. It's going to take a while to get concrete information on those numbers. Hugo, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. Says gas prices are still up there. No chance they will lower anytime soon. Yeah, they are about $5 a gallon nation average, as we touched on earlier. You can see here on screen. Actually, if I go back, we'll go back here. Nation average about $5 for fuel. Michigan about $5.21. Illinois is about $5.55. Indiana $5.20. Ohio about $5.03. Pennsylvania $5. So I would say a lot of the East Coast is right up at that $5 mark. The West Coast, though, however, is well over the $5 mark, as you can see here. Right from Arizona all the way up to Alaska is right up at the $6-7 mark in some areas. So yeah, and I can only expect that will continue to rise in the coming weeks, unfortunately. Rankin, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. He said it's old Soviet stuff or Soviet equipment. I'm sure there are some improved modern gadgets in the armories not being shared. Yeah, that is also true. That is also true. Again, a lot of the aid that's been sent to Ukraine is stuff, older stuff that countries had stockpiled. A lot of the U.S.'s primary stockpiles, a lot of their primary weapon systems, they're not sending to Ukraine. All right, they're sending stuff that they have extra, okay, because they have tons of stuff sitting in warehouses. Annette Burnell, thank you so much for stopping by tonight and talking with us. Says it was about $5.24 in parts of Maine today. Just Me says Michigan is about $5.66 for unleaded and $6 for diesel. Still, that's pretty gnarly. About $9.99 in California, says where they're at in California. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name there. Alpha, or actually I think that's Lambda. Lambda symbol? I don't know. Anyway, it says about $9.99 in California where you're at. I would like to know what county that is so we can take a look on the gas price map here. Unstinkable says, if you want to see how big the front line in Ukraine is compared to the U.S., I sent you a link. I'll have to take a look at that. I actually compared this on one of my recent shows to a portion of Florida. I think it stretched from Florida to Carolina, I believe. But we can take a look here on Reddit. Unstinkable sent this over. Thank you so much for sending this over. So if you look here, and I'll go to the big screen actually, this will help kind of illustrate this a little bit for you guys. Let's take a look at this again. So this is, again, this is the territory control in Ukraine. So this here, right? This is the front line in Ukraine, but showed overlaid on a U.S. map. It stretches from Chicago all the way down past Cincinnati, past Nashville, Tennessee, all the way down to Arkansas. That's basically the extent of how much land has been taken. In the illustration I saw, it stretched from about Florida up to, I think it was North Carolina or South Carolina. Yeah, an absolutely massive portion of land that has been taken up there. Again, thank you to everybody that tuned in this evening for tonight's report. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. Best way to get the algorithm's attention, get this information into more people's hands. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, or if you're on Twitch, you can hit that follow button. It's the best way to get notified when new streams and new videos go live. If you're looking for any of our sources or any links to anything, you can find that in the description below this stream or below the video, depending on how you're watching it. If you can't find anything down there, you can find it over in our Discord server. That's discord.gg/Nemico. New reports every weekday at around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 a.m. Ukraine time. Got a whole bunch of new videos coming down the pipeline for you guys as well, so stay tuned for that. I'll be uploading this report as soon as we're done live here to the YouTube channel. Again, that's youtube.com/Nemico Network. Again, big shout out to everybody that has been supporting us, everybody that is tuning back in, to all of our repeat viewers out there. Thank you guys so much for stopping by this evening, taking some time out of your day to, again, as I say it like a broken record, get up to date on what is going on the ground in Ukraine. Again, day 112 of this ongoing conflict. Hope to have a lot more information for you guys on some of the topics we covered tonight in the upcoming reports over the next week or so. Maybe even perhaps we'll be able to get some extended reports out to you guys, some all-day reporting sessions possibly in the coming week or two here. I'm going to be trying to squeeze in some of that with you guys as well. So, again, looking forward to that. Again, to everybody that stopped by tonight, thank you so much for being here. Until next time, guys, you are watching Nemico Network.
Something that will change our daily lives, that will change history, 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 that will change history. That will be the most beautiful day.